Good evening and welcome to Boro Fan TV and the Monday Night Show with me, James Hutchinson. Joining me on this week's show are Damon LaRoche and Liam McDermott. Great to see you again, lads.
Even James,
great to be on the show, James.
Great. Nice to see you again, boys. And it was great to see the Boro get a 3-pointer return from the game with Coventry City at the weekend. Very hard-earned 3 points. We'll go through all the major talking points from that match. And as well as that, we're going to preview the big game coming up this Friday night when Boro go to Old Trafford to take on Manchester United in the 4th round of the FA Cup. So there's plenty to discuss as always, Boro fans. We love to hear your thoughts and views, so get in touch with us on the usual channels on the show. So, first of all, boys, we'll talk about transfer news and other issues regarding the Boro. And Liam, transfer window closes in around 4 hours' time. No additions have been made to the squad today. In terms of what we've brought in, though, have you been happy with the business done by the club this transfer window?
Yeah, I think I have been. Yeah, I think I mentioned a couple of weeks ago that one of the areas that I thought would be an absolute certainty we'd strengthen in is goalkeeper. But actually, I suppose Lumley's given me food for thought over the last couple of matches, I think, particularly last match. Since he's been here, I've always get a bit nervy when the ball's played back to him, especially the way that Wilder plays. You're always wondering, is there a clanger in there? But to be fair to him, you'd argue he's kind of earned his place as first choice. And obviously Wilder seems comfortable with some backup. So I'm not really concerned in the way I was at the start of the win. I may regret that, see what happens. But it seems like we're not going down the goalkeeper route. Centre-back, I'd like to see somebody brought in. And I know we're looking at options there, possibly, whatever Newcastle have got left over. But it sounds like it's we've got to get some out before we get some in. And there's some complicated deals. I was reading Ikpeazu. They thought they were over the line maybe there and maybe the interest isn't there. We'll see. And then I think like Solanke and people like that, they're a bit more complicated, aren't they, with Rems and other clubs involved. So But yeah, all in all, I think if it ended now, I'd say we've had a decent transfer window, hopefully. Obviously, I know there's stick for Connolly and people like that, but it's strength in numbers, isn't it? And options on the bench, if nothing else.
Yeah, we'll get on to him a bit further on in the show, Liam. Damon, great to see you again, mate. We've talked about players coming in. In terms of departures, last 6 days, we've always seen Marcus Brown go today to Oxford. And we've had players go out on loan like Callum Kavanagh, Sam Folarin. In terms of the outgoings, I know Liam mentioned there about Ikpeazu. Is there anyone else that you think, we've mentioned about Ikpeazu and James Lee Solanke. Are you happy with the players that have left, or would you like maybe some of them to have stayed on? Or what's your thoughts, Damon?
I think the Ikpeazu one, that's food for thought, really. I mean, a lot of fans are saying we should keep him. Me personally, on a personal view, seeing him in person, I think he's a bit slow and sluggish up top. I think we need a bit more pace up there. I think with the lads we've got like Watmore and Coburn and the rest of them, Balogun and the rest of them. So I think we've done all right up top. I think we've got a good enough up top. I think if we sold Ikpeazu, I'd say get another one in, but there was talk about someone from Serie A, but I don't think that'll happen. I've heard from my sources that someone called a Nigerian under-21 international. I've never heard of him in my life. So,
what did you make today, Damon, of Hayden Coulson? He obviously his loan move at Ipswich was ended, and he's now gone out to Peterborough on loan. What did you make of that?
Yeah, I thought a bit surprising. I thought Wilder would have given him a chance for as cover while Ball is still injured. Food for thought with competition for Neil Taylor's spot, but obviously he sees in surplus to requirements at the moment, and I just think he's probably thought, well, we've got enough there. Lee Peltier could probably play there as well. If he come on the pitch, and I just think the lad probably needs game time, and then he obviously doesn't think he'll get it here. So, good move for him, really.
Yeah, and bringing you back in, Liam, there's a few people talking about Hutchy again, and Dan Shaw's got in touch. Thanks for watching, Dan. He said Hutchy was 100% a plan B and C. And I think he's a target player and someone a little bit different to what else we've got in terms of the forwards of the club. Do you go along with that, Liam? Do you think? Are you surprised that Wilder hasn't decided to keep him on?
I'm not massively surprised. I suppose he is a different option, isn't he, on the bench? And if he's letting him go, you wonder if the club need to let him go or would like to let him go to balance the books, that type of thing. Because otherwise you think, well, what's the harm in keeping him? You know, I can't imagine he's on massive wages. I may be wrong, given the step up from Wickham. So I don't know. It's a strange one to me. Maybe the club think they can get a few million for him and they're banking on that either now or in the summer. So if the right move comes along, but yeah, I don't know why you give that up easily. Because he's obviously a different option, isn't he, from Connolly and people like that. Yeah. He's strong and he's quite agile on his. You know, we saw in the cup, didn't we? He's quite a bit of a dancer on his feet, and he can do a good finish now in a while. So yeah, it's a strange one for me. I don't know why we wouldn't keep him unless you've got somebody lined up to bring in. As I say, unless there's a need to balance the books or something, and he's a easy way of doing it.
Yeah. I mean, it's just come up there on one of my feeds. It's Cardiff confident of signing Hutchy for the end of the window. So
that's going to be something like a triple tag team threat. That him and Jordan Ugle up front, then, isn't it, Liam? I tell you what, putting them two together.
I think, well, they let Keeper Moore go, didn't they, today? So
yeah.
So that could be a possibility. So
he'll probably come back and haunt us, won't it, this season? He'll probably knock one in against us, no doubt about it. So.
Yeah, he probably will.
That's the way it goes.
And Damon, Chris Wilder mentioned at the weekend that he said he's probably going to need 2 or 3 transfer windows before he gets the squad that he really wants at the club. And we'll talk in further depth in the show about Aaron Connolly. But I think fans have got to be patient when you think here now, Wilder's only been here for 12 matches. It's his first transfer window. He has managed to bring 4 players in. And already the squad is looking much transformed from what it was under Neil Warnock. So if the manager's saying it's going to take 2 or 3 transfer windows, we've got to accept that, haven't we?
Absolutely. I mean, some fans are fickle, really. Our fans. I mean, I've listened to him all the time through social media and saying about Connolly, this, he needs to be dropped, he needs to do that. The lad's only 21-year-old. We've got to think that, and he's a Republic of under 21 international. So Wilder knows what he's seen, and he's seen something that he likes, as you say, James. So I think he should be given time. I'd probably not start him all the time. Like, obviously, I dip him in and out, as game time. But and then I'd definitely put Balogun in because he looked sharp when he came on.
Okay. And before we move off the transfer stuff, Liam, there's been a few threads going around today with regards to Jed Spence and saying that Tottenham apparently put in a couple of bids last week, and some of them have been of a sizable amount, and that they may be coming back in with another offer, or if not, in the summer, a really big deal may be taking place. Are you surprised about how this is all turning out with Jed Spence?
I am. I think we all are, aren't we? I'll be honest. If you told us all a month ago, 2 months ago, you'd be knocking back. Let's say they've offered 5, 8, 10 million. I don't know, whatever it is. They're talking about us holding out for 15. You'd just snap their hand off, wouldn't you? But I suppose they can't take him on anyway, can they? He'd have to come back here and sit out the season or whatever if they did do a deal now. So maybe the club are playing the long game. Maybe they're trying to stoke a North London battle for him, because I know Arsenal and Tottenham are interested. And is Gibson thinking, well, if it doesn't come off now, it doesn't matter anyway, because they'll come back in the summer, which is no skin off their nose. He's just going to sit on the bench. He's going to sit on our bench for the rest of the season, so they'll come back in summer.
Yeah, we can't really invest the money, can we?
Well, the only thing I think is, does he get found out, Jed Spence, between now and the end of the season? He's on this little purple patch. Yeah. If they start watching him between now and summer and they're starting, well, actually, he's not the great shakes we thought he was. He's a bit indifferent. You might be wishing you'd taken the 8 million or whatever now. So it's high stakes, but maybe Boro thinking he's one of the few big assets we've got, and we'll hold out.
Yeah,
interesting one, isn't it? It could backfire.
It does. Yeah, Lee Bailey. Thanks for watching, Lee. Hope you're well, pal. He's just said
there's truth to it. This thing
driving for 15 million to London, one good game on TV. It's insanity. Do you go along with that, Damon, or do you think potentially he is a player that is worth a huge transfer fee?
I think. I mean, we were having this debate before we came on air, James. But I think, to be honest, he's 21. I mean, if he carries on, like, if he does put in good performances, his price tag will go up, won't it? So I'd personally leave him where he is, and then Boro do business in the summer. Say we get 17 million or something daft like that. It'd be silly money, and I'd obviously I'd take that no matter what. Absolutely.
Yeah, I
Snap
don't
the
think many
hands off.
people disagree with you there, Damon. But it's straight from a player that maybe a couple of months ago people were saying, well, if you get anything over £1 million, it'll be a decent deal. We didn't pay anything for him, and now you're talking of multiple millions. It just seems bizarre, Liam, like you said.
I think they're just panicking. See, I think Tottenham are just panicking because they lost out on Adama, didn't they? He went to Barcelona, so they're looking at that and they're thinking, well, Jed Spence, who's doing well in the Championship, the lower leagues, we might be able to get him on a decent fee. So maybe he's looking at that and thinking, we'll go for him. He's 21, younger than Adama, so why not?
Yeah, fair point. And as Liam Boyles mentioned, Liam, he said there, if Spencer's worth 15 million, then Jones must be worth as much as Mbappe.
But it's crackers, isn't it? It's crackers. Yeah. And all you got to think, the way I look at it is, how long has he been at Boro? And think of all the games he's played for us, all the times he's come on as sub, all the games he's started. Has he really blown any of us away over a 3 or 4 game span? The answer's no. So I think it's high stakes. I think you're not guaranteed to get those offers in the summer. So I personally have took it. As I say, who's to say he's not going to have a bad run of form, get an injury, so he's not playing for Forest, they're not watching him, and they move on to something else the next flavour of the month. And we're potentially back to letting him go for $1 million or a free or whatever when we could have had. And I don't know what they've offered, but it seems there's a bit of credibility, isn't it, in the reports that we've knocked back 2 offers. So
yeah. Good points made, Liam. Good points made, pal. Well, on to the action at the weekend on the pitch, Damon, and Saturday's clash with the Sky Blues at the Riverside. In terms of lineup, did it surprise you that Chris Wilder named an unchanged starting 11 from the game that finished at Ewood Park?
Yeah, it did actually. I thought he would have dropped Connolly with the fans berating him as much as he have done. I thought he would have put in Balogun, and I tipped Balogun to start, to be honest. But as I said, going to the game, seeing the game, was first half was absolutely dreadful. We did not start at all. Let them get in a bit of momentum and stuff like that, and as I said, and it just was dull as dishwater, really. I think the pies were probably more entertaining on the first half. So
that's it, something.
I actually thought, Liam, I thought we didn't start too badly on Saturday, but it soon became apparent that Coventry were a decent side. How impressed were you by them?
Yeah, I was impressed with them early in the season when we played them. I think they're a tidy side, and I just can't work out why they are where they are, and they're not a little bit further up the league. I didn't see much weakness from them. They didn't seem in disarray when they were on the back foot. They weren't the best defensively, but yeah, a tidy side and playing football the right way, if you like. The big lad up front was good, wasn't he, Victor? Yeah. And I won't pronounce his surname, Govarez or whatever he's called.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah,
you could see him fitting in, and Wilder, he said it, didn't we? He did say it. You could see him fitting right in a Boro side, in a way actually better than someone like a Connolly or that he ran the show from up front. So I was really impressed with him. And to be honest, I'd have snapped your hand off for a draw probably at half time. Because it looked like they were going to get a goal. It was just a question of whether we could bounce back and get a point. Really impressed with them. Really impressed given where they are on the table.
Yeah. Anton de Sed just got in touch. Thanks for watching the show, Anton. And he said Coventry, a well-driven side, deserved a little bit out the game, but things changed when Balogun and Piero came on. We'll talk about that later. Damon, I mean, a couple of individuals, and people have touched on it in the comments already on the show. There's been a number of Boro players, for all we're having a really good season. We're in the top 6 that have been copping a bit of flack from the fans and on social media throughout the season. Mainly Marcus Tavernier and Joe Lumley. We'll get on to Tav in a bit, but Joe Lumley, did he make you happy on Saturday? That's his 10th clean sheet of the season. I mean, he's maybe turned one or two people's opinions around in recent weeks, hasn't he?
I mean, for me, it hasn't been a lover of him at the start of the season because he has had a mistake in him. I thought Saturday was outstanding, to be honest. I think he put in some good saves. I think one was point blank, wasn't it? And he tipped it on. I think it was. Did he tip it onto the bar? That one onto the bar for them. I'm not sure, but that was. He's a really, really good kid. a good keeper, but I'd say we still need another keeper to back it up with, in this window. I think so anyway, but.
Okay, mate. Yeah, I'm just cutting up a bit there, mate. And Tav, Liam, I mean, I actually thought it was quite a mature display from Tavernier at the weekend. Wasn't totally eye-catching, but I just thought he was very steady right throughout the 90 minutes. What have you made of Marcus Tavernier this season, his contribution to the Boro, and how he's maybe perceived by Boro fans?
Yeah, I blow up and cold on him. So at the moment, you'd say, well, do you know what? Yeah, he seems to have turned a corner. He's been a bit more consistent, a bit more mature. He's adding more off the ball that often goes overlooked.
Yeah.
The last match, I can't think of an occasion. I can't think of 5 or 6 occasions where he just gave the ball away in a daft place, or, but I know that game's probably coming. It's probably a game away or 2 games away when he goes back to doing that, or trying to score a 40-yard free kick because he scored one 6.5 years ago, or whatever. It's that kind of frustration with him. And I hope he has. I hope he does get that consistency, because there's definitely a great player in there. And even when he is inconsistent, in a side that isn't blessed with risk takers and people who play the ball forward and see a good pass, sometimes you have to tolerate that inconsistency on a player like him, because we haven't got anyone better at that kind of way of playing. Piero's a possible, but he's got to break his way into the team, hasn't he? And it'll be interesting to see whether he starts, and we'll perhaps come on to that. But for me, given our team to date and the way we've been playing, he's a good option, and he plays that attacking. He takes a risk to play the attacking ball in a way that some of our other players don't. So, yeah, I hope it's the start of a bit more of a consistent Tavernier under Wilder.
Yeah. Well, Neil Cowan's been in touch there. Neil, thanks for watching. He said, in terms of Joe Lumley, don't think he got much game time at QPR, so having a run of games is building his confidence. And Peter McDermott on the Tav situation. Tav needs more consistency, but he is a great asset. Go on, Damon.
I also agree with some of the fans saying he should be off dead ball situations, Tav. He should be. It should be Paddy McNair taking them for me, because Paddy McNair is great at taking dead ball situations.
Well, he almost broke the deadlock on Saturday, didn't he? That free kick in the first half.
He did, mate. Yeah, and I think he should be on. It should be on him. Tav for me, I think them two. We're banking on them 2 crosses that he made against Reading, weren't we? So he did all right in that game, but it's hit and miss, as Liam said. He's hit and miss, and he needs to put in more consistent performances to warrant his starting place, or he needs to be dropped for me.
Yeah. Going back to the game, Paul Lewis has said we weren't great on Saturday. The midfield and strikers were average at best, and the back 4 with a pick of an average performance from the Boro. And I mean, Damon credited Chris Wilder. He noticed that things weren't quite working out at the start of the second half. And he made the changes, and less than 2 minutes later, we took the lead. And it was a well-worked move that led to Sporra's goal, wasn't it?
It was, and it was Balogun at the heart of it, wasn't it? Just bustling their defenders out the way, and then planting a good ball to Sporra, and Sporra does the rest, and the song starts. He's Slovenian, so it was great. It was great to see, and I'm a big fan of Sporra. He's been unlucky. He's had them chances, hasn't he? In the past few games, and even Wilder said himself, he's a class player. He just needs to push up a bit more, and his link-up play needs to improve. That's all he said.
Liam, what do you make of the situation with our forwards? So obviously, with Sporra and Connolly starting together for the 3rd game running on Saturday, and Connolly, as everyone's mentioned, he's took a bit of stick, in my opinion, unfairly. It's only his 3rd game, or as he's hardly played any football in the past year. But what do you think of the situation with our forwards? Who would be your first choice front 2 if you were going to go with 2? What would you look at?
I'll probably keep Sporra, because even when he has a quiet game, he pops up with a goal, doesn't he? And you get, it's a bit like the weekend. I thought, I'm not really sure he's adding very much. But to be fair, I don't think anyone was up front, because they weren't really seeing much of the ball, were they? And then he pops up with that goal. When that ball gets squared across the box, he's 9 times out of 10, it looks like he's going to tap it in. Yeah. So I definitely put Sporra in on form. And then I think Connolly's had a few chances. I'd probably take him out the firing line and maybe bring him on for 20, 30 minutes. I think. And start with Flo. I think that impact he had. Let's see what he can do from the start of the match. And I think as Wilder said, with his strikers and the way he plays, we're probably not going to end the match with the same strikers we started. Every game he's going to be subbing at least one of them because he wants the high press, the running about. 60th, 70th minute, he's going to sub one of them. Yeah. So I don't think it really matters who starts and who comes. I think it's going to be rotated throughout the season. Sporar seems to have cemented his place as long as he's ticking over on the goal front. Mm-hmm. And if you're like a Connolly or Flo and you go a couple of games, 3-4 matches, or Sporar without a goal, I think he might change up. But either way, he'll be starting with two of those lads, won't he? And I think we'll rotate round as the season goes on.
Yeah, and it's great, Liam, to have those options, isn't it, coming off the bench?
Yeah, and you've got, and again, it's back to the Ikpeazu situation, isn't it? Yeah, there might be a role for him in the last 10 minutes, but don't forget you've got Watmore as well.
Yeah.
If you want someone to run about and buzz around and cause havoc and pull men away and free up people like Sporar or Flo in the last few minutes, we've got that option as well. So yeah, it's a bit like the old Karanka approach, isn't it? Having 2 or 3 players who can play every position in a certain system. So
there's Coburn as well. I mean. Yeah. Coburn can play there. I mean, he come on as captain, so why not?
Well, when you take all that into account, then perhaps it isn't a surprise. I know I said it's nice to have Hutchy and you've got an option on the bench, but crikey, how many strikers can you put on the bench? You know what I mean? If he's got 2 or 3 sat there, does he need any more? Can he justify having Ikpeazu as well? And if you can get some money for him because he's an attractive asset to clubs that play that way with a big lad up front, then maybe it does make sense to sell him. So I'm talking myself back around now where I was before.
We all do that every week, Liam. Don't worry about that. We do it every week. Christian Lamb's got in touch. He said, with regards to Tab, he's one of the best players at the club. His work rate's unbelievable. Anyone who thinks he should be dropped doesn't know football. On the forward debate, Colin Fry, thanks for watching again, Carl. He said, Watmore or Balogun need to play alongside Sporar, which is pretty much what you said, Liam. Peter's been back in touch again. Peter Marks, Sporar's class. Don't know if the wee man will come off, but let's give him a run. Or prefer a big Aussie or Jimmy Floyd up front. Well, yeah, I think we'd love another centre forward like one of those again. But getting back to present day and what's going on at the club at the moment, I mean, Demo, how important was that result on Saturday to beat Coventry, bearing in mind there's some championship games going on during the week and at the weekend, and our next game's a big game away at QPR. So how important was it that we got 3 points back on the board?
Oh, massive, because it was our morale was down after that Blackburn game. You felt it around the club. The lads were disappointed. There was talk it being like we thinking of too much of Man United, the game, and I don't think we were, to be honest. I just think Wilder put it straight in the media in his media conference that he said he wasn't thinking about that. He said, I won't tolerate that, which is right, he won't. And I just think Middlesbrough as a club at the moment, we just need to push on from this and then, as I said, get the results that we need to stay in there. That's why I said a few more additions and we'd be okay.
Yeah. And in terms of last thing on Saturday's game, Liam, I actually thought we saw the game out really well. The final 10 minutes, whether that was people forgetting that there was a football about to be picked up for a throw-in, the ball boys doing a sterling job wasting another 30 seconds. I thought we actually saw the game out really well on Saturday.
Yeah, it was good to see, wasn't it? I think it was quite, the amount of times we criticised Boro players for just not having their head in the game and making the right decision at the right time. But yeah, it was a professional way to win the match, wasn't it? And that's where Lumley comes into his own, doesn't he? The old Warnock toolbox kick comes out, doesn't it? And he starts scratching his nose or moving the ball back from once. I saw him got booked, didn't he? We took one for the team on that. But quite professional. And a shout out for the ball boys as well, for those who haven't noticed. My 6.5-year campaign to get ball boys back at the Riverside seems to have paid off. Because unlike Warnock, it seems we do actually want to play with a bit of pace. I can't remember what the last match was where we were. Who was it we played and they were trying to stifle the match from about the 5th minute? Reading. And it drove me nuts. The ball kept going out and it was flat anyway. And then when you're waiting 6 minutes for the ball to come back in, it's like, it's a nightmare, isn't it? So, yeah, big shout out for that. Whoever's arranged that, Bowser or whatever, well done.
Yeah. Bit of a shout out for Neil Bowser there.
Yeah, you don't get them often, do you? That's the first and last you'll ever hear from me.
You'll be getting hounded in a minute, mate, off the show.
I know, yeah.
Before we go on to the Man United and the Cup game, lads, we'll a bit more transfer chat and get your thoughts on these. Alex Hughes has been in touch, Damon, and he's mentioned there that he would like to see the 2 lads from Newcastle come in, which is obviously Hendrick and Kieran Clark, bringing a bit of experience. Do you go along with that? Would you have one or not the other, or would you rather not take either of them on? What's your thoughts, Damon?
I'd have both of them, to be fair. I mean, a lot of people are saying about Kieran Clark making mistakes. He's a bit iffy at the back, but isn't anyone in any defender iffy at the back? I mean, no one's perfect. Everyone has a mistake in him. But he's got Premier League experience, as I said, and so is Jeff Hendrick as well. So he'll bring a vast amount of knowledge and it's experience for us, and it just solidifies our squad really, and pushes us on further up the league. Really, I think so. Anyway.
And Liam, a man that is already here is Flo Balogun, as you mentioned then. Owen McDonough, hope you're well, Owen. He's a die-hard Arsenal fan, but his old man's a Boro fan. And he loves to see an Arsenal player doing well for his second team. I mean, it was an interesting cameo from Balogun on Saturday. What did you make of his performance, and do you think he might become Spor's strike partner in future, or do you think he's maybe one that's going to be off the bench?
I think he might start him. He might start him against Man United. I'm not sure. And if he comes off and if he's consistent and he can stay out 60 minutes, 50 minutes doing a job for Wilder, then he will start, won't he? But I can't judge it yet because we've seen a little glimpse of him, haven't we, in one match. He's come on and had a little bit of a flurry. He had that impact. Yeah, it's a different kettle of fish starting a match and trudging your way through it and trying to make chances and get a goal. So we'll see. But all signs are it's positive, and he's had more of an impact when he has been on than, say, Connolly, and that might be an unfair criticism of Connolly, but like for like, they're both new players, they're both lacking in game time, and he's done more to grab his opportunity. So we'll see. So I think he definitely deserves. He might bring him on a couple more matches in second halves and things. He might start Connolly again in the cup, or he might chuck Flo in. It wouldn't surprise me if he chucks him in against Man United, for example, being a cup game.
Yeah.
And on the Newcastle front, I was having a look at Kieran Clark. I don't know if you saw him play in Saudi Arabia.
No, I haven't.
He got sent off for punching a lad in front of Saudi dignitaries. So he sounds like a right cracker. So we'll get him on board. But plus, I think, to be honest, on both those Newcastle signings, are they going to go straight to the first team? No, they're not going to walk into the starting 11. But it's about experience on the bench, isn't it, and options. And if Kieran Clark, if it doesn't come off, it doesn't come off. But he's just another option rather than, if we get centre-back injury, straight to Sol Bamba. With all respect, do you want to depend on him as your last line of defence and have to start matches if a player gets injured? So if you get an experienced Premier League player in an international even if they're only going to play 5 or 6 games for you when you need him, then it's got to be worth it, hasn't it, in a promotion campaign, which is what we hope we're now involved in. Yeah,
no, fair dues, mate. Yeah, can't disagree with any of that. Well, we'll leave the promotion talk and the playoff campaign for a little while, and we'll have a look at the FA Cup now, everybody. And it's a game that's eagerly anticipated on Teesside since the draw for the 4th round was made. Man United against the Boro. Liam, were you surprised at the clamour for tickets and the buzz around this game? I mean, it's not like we've never played Man United before and we haven't been to Old Trafford, but are you surprised by the actual buzz around this match?
I'm not actually, and that's just because I based it on the League Cup match we had a few years back, which was a good season, wasn't it? We were going well in the league. I know the pricing was different, and I can't remember how many we took there. Was it about 8,000?
Yeah.
So it's been done before. I thought maybe the 45 quid might put some people off, so we get 1,000 less or something like that than that. But yeah, no, it's good to see, and it can't do any harm, can it? I mean, unless we get spanked 6-0 or something, like Sunderland. Then we should be all right, and I'm expecting us to win. No, I'm hopeful that we'll get a result and cause a problem. But like I say, as long as we don't come away thinking, that's a real confidence destroyer.
Yeah,
and there's nothing to lose, is there? It's a free hit, as they say.
Yeah. So Damon, with that in mind, what Liam said there, how would you approach it in terms of the starting lineup? Because it's a tricky one that Chris Wilder has to work out. Because obviously we've got a big game at QPR next Wednesday night, which arguably most people would say is much more important than the Man United game. But you also don't want to make so many changes that you're putting yourself at risk of maybe taking a bit of a pounding off United. So how do you think Chris Wilder might play on Friday?
It's a tough one to decide, isn't it? Because it's like you got to look at Man United's team. Who would they pick? And it's chalk and cheese, really. They've got a much faster squad to put Bruno Fernandes, Pogba, and Lingard in. As I said, Dean Henderson probably be another one who'll come into that category. But for me, I think you want to pick a bit of what we've got now in the starting lineup, and a bit of youth in there as well. So like give Nathan Wood a shout, maybe someone like that. I would have if he didn't go on loan, I would have give Callum Kavanagh a chance in that Man United game. But obviously he's gone on loan, so I'd give someone else a go in the youth setup as well. Why not? As Liam said, what have you got to lose?
Okay. And Liam, do you envisage Chris Wilder making lots of changes, or do you think it'll be just here and there, 2 or 3 maybe? Because, I mean, it's funny how to take quite an air of confidence amongst Boro fans, yet you've got to remind yourself you're playing a side that are 4th in the Premier League during the last 16 of the Champions League. And as Damon mentioned there, some of the players that are fringe players at Man United are absolute world household names, superstars, you know. We've still got our work cut out on Friday night, no matter what team we put out, haven't we?
Well, true. And I sat watching us against Coventry, and I'm thinking, bloody hell, they've got some pace. You know, they're getting about us, they're pulling us a bit here, there, and everything. And then I started thinking to myself, bloody hell, imagine replacing them with Rashford. So I was kind of looking at that, thinking, they're a footballing side, they're pacey, they're on the counter. Mm-hmm. I thought, we dealt with it just about, and I thought, we've got a job on our hands Friday night if Man United or anything like that, which there will be. But as I say, free it. I think he will make some changes. He made a hell of a lot of changes for Mansfield, so he's consistent on his league team week in, week out, making the odd one-player change here and there for form or whatever. I think with the FA Cup, he'll change it. I don't think he'll make as many changes as he did for Mansfield because, as you said, there's a credibility point of view. You can't put 2 weeks aside out because then, no one will remember that when you get beat 6-7-0. It'll just be that you got beat 6-7-0, not that you made 5 changes instead of 3. So I think he's going to have to get that balance right. But it'll be a strong side for Middlesbrough. It needs to be, even just to compete.
Yeah, definitely. Steve Davis has got in touch, Damon, and he's mentioned there he'd like to see Piero and Balogun in the starting lineup, but apart from that, stick to the normal team. And he thinks it's a good time to be taking on Man United. Would you bring Piero in? Would you bring Balogun into the starting lineup?
I actually would, yeah. I agree with Steve. I think he should give him a start because the lad showed something when he came on against Coventry. Even though it was for a short period, I'd still chuck him in because the lad's hardly had a chance, as we say. But what have you got to lose? You know what I mean? As I said, it's Man United. I think the cup games, it's the league you want to focus on. It's not the cup games.
Yeah. And Colin Fry's mentioned there, but a little bit like what you alluded to there, Liam. He said, our last 2 performances have got me a little bit worried for Friday night. Do you think it's a case of, look, cast feet to one side, it's a cup match. If we lose, we lose. We've got a lot to gain from that game on Friday night. And it's a great experience for these players as well. A lot of them won't have played at Old Trafford before. Think of the likes of Isaiah Jones. Don't think Dale Fry's played there. So it's a great occasion for these lads, and they should embrace it, shouldn't they?
Yeah, totally. And it is. I know I mentioned Friday night worrying about it, but it's such a different kettle of fish, isn't it? A cup match that I don't think how we played against Coventry is going to mean very much. I think it's going to come down to on the night. There's all sorts of weird twists and turns. Who thought when we went to Man City in the FA Cup that we get a result there? Them having come back and flown back from wherever they'd flown back from in the Champions League, was it? That
I think they've gone away on a winter break or something to Dubai.
That was it, yeah.
And they came back the night before.
Yeah, so that's how seriously they took that tie. But so yeah, you never know. It's all in the air, isn't it? You roll the dice, see what happens, and why wouldn't you start Piero or someone and see what happens? And it gives him a bit of game time, doesn't it? If nothing else.
Yeah. And Damon Anton just said, just got in touch again. He said it's a magic of the FA Cup, big ground, huge away following, anything can happen. And David Olsen, pressure's on United. As long as we play well, our fans will be happy. And I go along with all that. And there might be a certain Cristiano Ronaldo playing. Do you think he'll be on the lookout for James Morrison or anybody like that lurking around on Friday night, Damo?
I don't know. I think Isaiah Jones could give him a good kicking. To be honest, no. I think Wilder mentioned it, as I said in one of his conferences, about us being the 12th man, and Joe Lumley said us being the 12th man for Man United, the Man United game. We're gonna pack that up, that Stretford end or wherever we're sitting. I think we're gonna do. I think we could do him. I firmly believe we could do him. So
you feeling confident there? Peter McDermott said there that's what I like the sound of here. A Crooks Ronaldo matchup. Imagine that's going to that'll get everybody talking. That won't it, Liam? There's a bit of a clash between them two.
Too right, or Dale Fry putting the nut on him. See it all happening, can't you? We'll be down to 8 men within the first 10 minutes, but we'll have a good laugh.
He said that, didn't he, in his conference? He put the nut on him.
Well, boys, time for predictions for the game on Friday night at Old Trafford. Damon, are you feeling that confident? Do you think we're going to get a result there? Do you think we can win?
Yeah, I always believe in our lads. So I'm going to go for a scrappy 1-0.
Scrappy 1-0 for the Boro. And Liam, irrespective of probably the result, it's going to be a special occasion with over 9,000 Boro fans there. Like you say, we hope that the players respond to that and give us a performance to be proud of, and I don't see any reason why they shouldn't.
Yeah, absolutely. And just a tight match would be good, wouldn't it? Just to be in there, have a few chances, hit the bar. Well, even if you don't come away with a win, just to be able to say you went there and you showed more attacking intent than most Premier League clubs who are clinging on to survival. So, I think we'll have a right good go. And worst case scenario, I'll go back at Manchester City Centre and just have a few more beers, don't I? So either way, we'll get over it and then off to a big match at QPR. Yeah,
jobs are good, innit? Life could be worse, couldn't it?
Exactly.
Could be a Sunderland fan.
That's it.
Christian Lamb's gone there. Boro to win on penalties after a 1-1 draw. A lot of 2-1s to the Boro. Mike Pellin, David Olsen, Simon Colton after extra time. Because, remember, guys, it has to be settled on the night. And Thomas Sedgman, 2-1 was Crooksy to score first. Well, if you're lucky enough to get a ticket and you've got a ticket to go to Old Trafford on Friday night, have a great time. It's what memories are made of. Get behind the boys, sing loud and proud. It's on the television if you haven't got a ticket, so it's on ITV if you want to watch it there. But I'm sure the boys will do us proud. Thanks very much to Damon and Liam for joining me tonight. Great to have you on board again, boys.
Cheers, mate.
Thanks for having us.
Lovely to see you both. We'll be back next Monday night to discuss the fallout from that game at Old Trafford. And then we've got 2 massive games next week. We've talked about the QPR game next Wednesday night at Loftus Road, which is a big one. But then the big grudge match the following Saturday when our friends from Derby County visit the Riverside for what's sure to be a tasty encounter. So don't miss all that on next Monday's show. But from us all here at Boro Fan TV, have a good week, take care, and up the Boro.
Up the Boro.
Cheers, boys.